What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr War Games. Today bringing you my second place ABC Brave Therions. Now I know this is basically just the new kitchen deck. I wanted to try it out just so that I can kind of understand the deck and how it plays, and it's always nice to kind of give ABC a bit of a revival and see how it can compete. This ended up getting me second. My only loss was to Branded Despia. Annoyingly, I just misplayed twice. Really bad calls, and those single calls ended up losing me the game. Ultimately, I also opened up Union Driver, which always sucks. I then ended up facing Flunderies, or I started off by facing Cyber Dragons, which is a bad matchup for this deck because they're all machines, but I won that one. I then faced Sword Soul, I then faced Flunderies, and then my last round was, of course, against Branded Despia. So, with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe. I will be looking at bringing you a pure Therion deck because I actually like the idea of the deck itself. It's just trying to find what engine works best with it in order to utilise all of its plays. So, with all of that out of the way, let's dive, as a Sharpie flies across the screen, let's dive head first into the profile. So for all of the pieces, you play double A, double B, and double C. A is probably the worst, and what I mean by that is, obviously B can then search you out a piece, C can get you a piece from the hand to the field. So there's a lot of utility with that. A is probably the worst because it lets you add back from the grave, which is cool if you've got a discard, which is where the Brave package comes in, because the Brave package is basically your discard engine, for the pure fact that you just activate Adventure, search, discard, and you're good to go. And that's how you can kind of put your pieces in the graveyard as well. We then got the one Union Driver. I mean, I used to play two. I don't want to play two because you're ultimately saying, okay, and the good thing about this deck is you can kind of play around it with the right hand if you open this up. But you're basically saying, I'm going to play two Garnets. If I see one Garnet, cool, I can still make combo. But if I see both Garnets, I've just got two Garnets that can't do anything in the deck. So this is the best and the worst card for the pure fact that the way this works is you equipped it to A, B, or C off of Union Hanger, and then you use its effect to banish it to then equip it with Torque Tune, and that gives you the ability to go into Halley Firebrax plays, or you can connect it with a piece, as long as you can get that monster off the board, or go into like a Link 2 or a Rank 4 if you really, really want to, as long as you're playing like Amaterasu, not Amaterasu, sorry, I believe it's Tsukiyomi, the Boujin card that lets you detach two to draw two, or ditch your hand to draw a hand. Anyway, the new Mac Daddy of this deck is the Therion King Regulus. Like, yes, this card is ridiculously priced right now. And in my personal opinion, it doesn't deserve to be that high. I think it's only that high because it's the best card of a mediocre set. It is really cool. So you target a machine monster in your graveyard or a Therion monster to bring this back to the field. You can then, when your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, send a Therion monster card from your hand or face up field to the graveyard to negate the effect. Now obviously in this one, unless you've got two kings, one on board, one in hand, you're going to be sending itself. So it's basically just like another form of Griffin as an Omni Negate. I feel that in the pure version this would be a lot better for the pure fact that it doesn't have to constantly send itself. It can send some of your other Therions. The only disappointing part for Therions is that they are all high level, so they need like a normal summon engine or a route to normal summon, which is why you could play Extravagance, you could play the Brave package in that as well. It's entirely up to you. We've then got the Rose Dragons. I really don't like this engine either. I found myself taking these out. I could see the utility behind it because you go Halley Firebrax, you summon out Red Rose, and then as long as you've been able to get another monster on the board, you use Red Rose to Synchro. That will trigger the effect to give you your Rox Rose, and then your Rox Rose basically gives you another tuner on the board, and it gives you your Basil Rose Shoot, which means you can revive one of these as a tuner if you need to, but it's kind of like balancing what you need. So ultimately, I'm not a massive fan of this. I don't know if I would go for Jet Synchron. I don't know kind of like where I would want to take it from that point. I suppose Jet pretty much does the same thing. You just need another card in the hand to discard, which can work really well if you've got the pieces in the hand. So that's something that I'll consider looking into. And then we've got the Boring Engine, and I literally, what I mean by that, and I mean no offense to people that play this, for me, this engine does too much on its own, which is great in the competitive scene. I like completely understand that. I just feel that when I play this, I end up relying on it way too much. And what I mean by that is there'll be times where I don't see anything, but I see this. and this will still give me a fairly decent board, which is fine. It's completely fine, but it's like, I'm not putting this in here to play Brave. I'm putting this in here to protect my plays for this, or to help utilise my plays for the ABC. And sometimes it just doesn't do that, and I just feel really bad, because I'm just sitting there like, alright, banish Enchantress, yeah, cool. Activate right, spawn a token, play Fateful Adventure, cool, right. Add a card, discard a card, special Griffin, cool, right. Equip the Draco back, yeah, cool, right, pass. And it's not, to me, it's not fun, but it is competitively viable. And then for the final monsters we've got is the hand traps, so double belt and double ash. This is just basically my personal ratio for hand traps right now in the competitive scene. For the pure fact that I wanted to get the balance between the two, you can max them out if you want to. It's currently a 41 card deck. You can then adapt to your personal environment. Like if your environment plays a specific type of deck, like the majority of them lose to Droll, you put Droll in the main. I just feel that Bell's really good to kind of deal with banishment and deal with Brandon in red. Like what you got to keep in mind as well is we've got a new set and we've got a new ban list. So the format, even though it's still going to be very heavy Brave, very heavy branded, that is still kind of in its testing phase, which you kind of see at the start of every new ban list and every new set, is people try out new decks, people try out different combinations, people try out new cards, and then obviously the ban list then adapts ways that people are going to play, and they can sometimes bring decks back as well. So we've then got Triple Pot of Prosperity. This is just digging for your power play cards. I actually found it more difficult in this build than any of my other builds that I've used Prosperity in to banish 6 cards in the extra deck, and you'll see that when I get to the extra deck. So I'm not completely set on this, but I'm not sure what other draw cards you would actually put in the deck. You could put Desires, as you do play a lot of multiples, and once you've got to your ABC pieces, you're good. But I suppose the risk of playing Desires is if you banish like 2 Cs or 2 Bs or 2 As, your whole Buster play is dead. 2 unauthorized reactivation, never saw it, or when I did see it, I never had a machine to use this effect on. So again, I'm not completely sold by this card in this version of the deck. So it's something that I'll need to look into. 2 Forbidden Droplet. This is actually really good in the deck because you can send the pieces from the hand, negate your opponent's board, and then make your plays from there on, because you should pretty much set up your Buster Dragon. But it can be very situational. Then for the one-offs, 1 Foolish Burial, send War Enchantress, send a Missing Piece, send a machine in general if you open up a Therion, or the Regulus, and kind of go from there. And then we got the 1 Basil Rose Shoot. Then for the spells, or the field spells specifically, we got Triple Union Hanger. I would have played Triple Colosseum, Disc Colosseum, but I only had 2 at the time, so I went with 2, obviously. And then 1 Set Rotation and 1 Terraforming. Now the Therion field spell is actually really cool, I like this. So when it is activated, you get to add a Therion monster from your deck to the hand, so straight away in this version you're going for the King. The only issue for this is it's not a 1-card setup. And what I mean by that is it could have been something like add 1 and send 1, which would have been crazy good, because then straight away it would have set up like your Therion. So it should have been like, when this card is activated, add 1 Therion monster from your deck to the hand, and send 1 monster of the same type from the deck to the graveyard, or same type. So then you could have Foolish Burial a machine, which would have been bonkers great, and I would have loved it. It's still really good for its additional 2nd and 3rd effect. So once per turn, if your monster would be destroyed by battle, you can send a Therion card or 1 Endless Argo system from the deck to the graveyard instead. So that's how it presets itself. And then once per turn, when a monster is destroyed by battle, so either side, you get to, and sent to the graveyard specifically, you get to target a Therion monster in your graveyard and add it to the hand. So you can pretty much add back what you send. But the issue with this card is in order to send and then to add back, you've already got to go through the battle phase. So either you're pushing for game, you're protecting from game, and then you're trying to regain your resource afterwards. So I would have much rather sacrificed the 2nd effect of this card to basically be add and send from deck. So it would have been a Rota and a Foolish Burial all in one, but because it would have specifically searched that Therion, it wouldn't have been generic. You would have probably ended up playing, like, I think, what have they got? They've got machines, plants. Plants would have been really good with this. But yeah, you can kind of see where you go from that. Set Rotation, Terraforming, you're playing multiples, so you're good to rock and roll with that. That's it for the spell cards. Moving on to the extra deck. Of course, we've got triple A, B, C, Buster Dragon. It's very easy to actually make this multiple times, so you got to max this out. This was one of the cards that I was banishing off for Prosperity, just to give you a couple of options to work around. I've then got 5 Synchros. Now, the Synchros I've got is obviously the Formula Synchron, Shooting Riser, which you actually might hard summon, and so will you might hard summon the Desert Locust. But the idea is that either of these or any of these can come off the back of Hadi Firebrax and then lead you to additional plays. So you could bring out Desert Locust and then Synchro Summon during your opponent's turn to make a 10 with one of your ABC pieces, but you would have already used the ABC Buster Dragon. Formula Synchron can do that by using 2 pieces, and then Shooting Riser can be used to Foolish Burial. The only issue with Shooting Riser is it becomes a level 3, so that's where people were playing Psychic End Punisher, but I mean, if it's second effect, if Psychic End Punisher's second effect, which was target 1 card you control and 1 monster you control and 1 monster card your opponent controls, banish them for 1,000 life points. If that was a quick effect, it would have been worth like maining in this build, but I personally wasn't. I've got the one Baron de Fleur and the one Chijin. So obviously the Chijin is for the pure fact that if you're able to make this and then you're able to make the Buster Dragon, you're going to be able to get a free banish from the grave and a free banish from the field. Plus, you're going to be able to make him stonks. And he actually won me a game in the Flunder matchup because the Flunder person went through double Extrav, stacked up their graveyard, and then I went through, I think I banished like the ABC pieces, and he was pretty stonk and was able to push him for game. And then for the Link monsters, of course, Hadi Firebrax, pretty straightforward on that one. IP Masquerena, again, pretty straightforward. Barricade Board Blocker. Interesting option, like, it gives you a free discard, making a Link to. It does come up. I'm not entirely set on how good it is, but it does work. One Platinum Gadget. I actually rarely made this because there are some times where you'd, like, when you bring out your Torturing Gear, you can make this. When you bring out, like, one of your pieces, if you're not going the Torturing Gear route, you could make this as well, but I just very rarely made it. Unicorn, Appaloosa, and then Borrelsword. I would actually probably consider stuff like Phoenix and Cerberus still, for the pure fact that they just give you constant discards. And there was a couple of times I was like, right, I've got this piece stuck in my hand. I've already used the Brave Engine to do the discard because I didn't have it at that point. And it's kind of just learning to work around it that way. Anyway, that is it for the profile. I hope this has given you a couple of ideas in your own build. Like I said, I'm not entirely sold on it, and I know this is like not even break a bank. This is like destroy multiple banks along the road in order to be able to afford this deck, because you're looking at Brave Package, you're looking at Therion King, you're looking at ABC. Like, it's absolutely mad, and it's just more so this is a profile for those that have the cards. Cool, you know what you need to look for. Those that don't, it's something to watch and go, right, okay, I now know that this deck can be around. I now know what this deck can finish on. Like, its end board can pretty much be Buster Dragon, Hadi Firebrax, a Synchro in some form of another, whether it be Riser Dragon or something else, and then they'll have the ability to Hadi Firebrax during your turn to then go into a Baron de Fleur, and then pretty much set up other stuff as well, because I'll be looping back the ABC Buster Dragon for the next turn. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, guys, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.